So for today's video I'm covering more map changes in Bully. This is the third video I've done on this and I hope you enjoy it. Let's get straight onto the video. I'll start off the video by covering some map changes in New Coventry. I'll start off with the junkyard. Anybody who's played Bully knows the junkyard has always felt just a little bit out of place. I mean, Jimmy's there for one mission and he never goes there again, which is understandable for a boss battle arena. But here's the thing, people have realised that the junkyard doesn't actually exist in the actual map. If you don't know what I'm on about, this is the overview of the junkyard arena during fighting Johnny Vincent. We've got the trail, we've got the mountains, we can clearly see the junkyard. However, during regular free mode, it just doesn't exist at all. Now, I believe that in the beta, that Rockstar may have actually intended the junkyard to be there at all times. Not enterable, but just there. After all, we've got the trail still here. But for some reason, it just seems like a very strange map change if you ask me. Secondly, while it's not a massive change, there's not too much to cover here. I mean, after all, the only changes I found really were just a couple of ramps and that was it. But it's still a very interesting map change to think of. While there's not a completely massive map change, the Greaser's safe house actually had a wall that was removed. This wall will be positioned right next to the door that Jimmy enters, and the arcade machine was also going to be positioned diagonally, as opposed to being, well, sort of straight. This may have been changed because the Greasers challenge may have been a bit unfair on the player, as they wouldn't have a chance to really move because they'd just be bombarded by Greasers before they actually have a chance. Blue Sky's Industrial Park may have actually had a removed interior. If you use a mod to gain access to all interiors, and then go to the sign, you know, the Blue Sky's Industrial sign, and enter this door, Jimmy will just get instantly knocked out. He'll enter this interior, but it just doesn't exist and he'll just get knocked out instantly. However, if you actually use a mod like the no-clip mod to stop Jimmy from falling into the pink water, and we actually turn around, we can actually see it's located just below the BMX park. So could this be a beta location for the BMX park, or could it be a completely removed interior? Sadly, we may never know. The Chem Plant's entrance was originally located on this catwalk and not the top of the Chem Plant. There are only two small leftovers of this, one being the catwalk itself, where we can see a removed door and the floor is solid, and a removed entrance graphic, which does not match up with the one from the final game. It's very hard to see, but here we can see an overview of the Blue Sky's Industrial Park, and some railings which confirms the entrance was going to be on the catwalk, not the roof. While we're on the subject of these removed entrance graphics, did you know in these files there actually exists an image of the beta boy storm? You can't actually see it in game because the entrance, well, the graphics shall say, that it was a part of, was also removed, you see. Now to gain access to this file you need to either have Nifscope or some PS2 TXT viewer and find the file iSchoolScreen. Now inside that there's a file called sc_sc main screen 2. Now the image will be very low quality, but you can actually make out the beta boy storm in this. This is probably the only image that exists of the Beta Boy Storm with the second floor. And speaking of the Beta Boy Storm second floor again, did you know there actually exists a remove entrance to the second floor, or should I say the attic? If you use the no-clip mod and go where I go and just fly forward just a little bit, you can gain access to this removed attic entrance. Now some people believe this was actually supposed to be the second floor. Personally I believe it's the attic. The reason I believe it's the attic is because it's on the same level as the girls' dorm attic entrance, and secondly, when you actually enter there's no radar, whereas the second floor radar still exists and will still show if Jimmy flies down just a little bit lower. And thirdly, because, well, where you spawn is actually above the bathroom, and I don't know why Jimmy would crawl through a shower. Dr. Crabble Snitch's office goes entirely unused in the main game. Well, outside of appearing in cutscenes and that, but if you use mods to gain access to this interior, you'll realise that there's quite a few beta changes here. For example, if we walk to the left of Dr. Crabble Snitch's office, we can see this door. And we can actually walk through it. There's nothing here. But according to the minimap, there's going to be a room here. I don't know what it might have been. It might have been like a cupboard or something like that. Or possibly a place for Jimmy to hide in the mission, The Paddle. The second change is, the office may have actually been connected to the reception. Okay, it still is in the final game, but I'm talking about as part of one single interior. The reason I believe this is because if we look at the doors, which lead to the reception, you can actually walk through them a little bit, but the interior seems to cut off there. Although according to the minimap, there's this massive area that's supposed to be here, but obviously we cannot access it. Now this actually does add up in a way. If we take a look at an early pre-release screenshot which shows Miss Danvers in the office, we can see the office door was going to be open. However, there's one oddity here. If we teleport back to the original, or should I say final version of the reception, we can clearly see that it's a bit more smaller, should I say. So this could mean that the reception is going to be a bit more bigger in the beta. And also, just in case you didn't know, the statue in Dr. Crabblesnitch's office is actually a beta version of him, just with a stone texture. So there's a bit more beta info for you. Located inside the auditorium, there may be another removed interior. Now you can only see this through mods, again, because both times Jimmy is in the auditorium, he doesn't actually get to free roam in it, because in the Candidate he's just there sniping, and in Nutcracking it's just an extended version of the music minigame. But if you use mods to gain access to the auditorium, if we head east, we can clearly see, well, a minimap. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is not any interior in the game. In fact, it could possibly be the removed infirmary interior. In case you didn't know, the infirmary that Jimmy spawns at after he gets knocked out was going to be enterable very early on in the game. I don't really have much to go off here, but yeah, it's just something interesting to think about. If this is the infirmary interior, then it was removed very early on in the game. It was removed that early, the boys' dorm still had a second floor, going off those graphics I showed earlier on in the video. Some of you may know that the Academy's rooftop is going to be explorable in free mode once you defeat Gary in Final Showdown. While Rockstar did remove it, there's still some things left over that still work, namely the doors. I'm using the super mod here to load up Final Showdown, and once the cutscene ends, you'll see the door leading back to the Academy now works, as entering it puts Jimmy back into the removed roof access room. Now, if I enter back through the door again, Jimmy will spawn on the roof, but this is not the case for regular free mode, as in normal free mode, entering the roof will just cause Jimmy to fall to his doom. In the Jock's safe house, if you look on the walls, you'll see this defaced poster. This poster is of Ernest Jones in his very early beta appearance, which is not seen anywhere at all in the final game. While it's not a proper map change, it could mean that Rockstar originally had the beta Ernest Jones campaign posters done, and in very early builds of Bully, they had this version of Ernest on them, rather than the ones we see in the final game. And lastly, if you somehow manage to escape the Academy in Chapter 1, be it through mods or glitches, and you try to head to the Carnival, you'll actually find out that the Carnival is blocked off. Now, some of you may be thinking, how's this a beta change if it's actually in there in the final game? Well, you see, the thing is, in the game files, after you beat Russell in the Hole, you would actually get an in-game message saying that Billy Crane's Travelling Carnival is now unlocked. Anyway, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.